හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Saturday the 30th of December 2023. Be vigilant. The northeastern monsoons continue to inundate several parts of the island. Early landslide warnings issued to 4 districts. Tariff hikes. Water tariffs to be increased by 3% with effect from the 1st of January 2024. New Year's Eve. With less than 36 hours to 2024, special traffic plan in effect from 5 p.m. tomorrow in light of planned festivities. Picking up, over 2,000 tourist arrivals recorded in the month of December this year, the highest number in a single month during the past 4 years.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
නියම මෝල්ට් සාරය සමග මැලිබන් මෝල්ට් දැන් රුපියල් 750ක් පමණයි.
This is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to AdaDerana First at 9. I'm AdaDerana Singh, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now in your top story tonight, heavy downpours which occurred in parts of the island as a result of the northeastern monsoon triggered floods and led to the inundation of several areas, destroying crops and hampering traffic along several roads. Rufus Kulam in the Ampara district continued to record the highest rainfall of 215 millimeters during the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, the National Building Research Organization issued level 2 amber landslide warnings to 4 districts following the landslides which occurred as a result of the inclement weather patterns. With the advent of the northeastern monsoon, torrential rains have pounded parts of the country for the past few months, disrupting the daily routines of the general public. According to the latest data issued by the Disaster Management Center, Uva, Sabaragamuwa, Eastern, Central, Northwestern, Southern and the Northern provinces are among the most affected areas as a result of the extreme rainfall. During the past 24 hours, the highest rainfall of 215 millimeters was reported from Rufus Kulam in the Ampara district. The surrounding areas of the Somavati sacred site in Polonnaruwa continue to remain submerged due to the continuous heavy rains. As a result, the police life-saving unit took up the task of offering arms at the sacred site. In the meantime, as measures were taken to halt the light vehicular movement along the Polonnaruwa-Batiklo main road from 2 p.m. last afternoon, locations in the Manampiti to Kadruvilla stretch along the Polonnaruwa-Batiklo main road became accessible only by train. The release of water to Aban River following the opening of 2 sluice gates of the Morogahakanda reservoir led to the inundation of several paddy fields in the Attana Kadavela, Jamburavela and Madudamana areas. In addition, 3,000 acres of paddy in Puttur in the Polonnaruwa district had also been destroyed as a result. Against this backdrop, the Mahawali Authority of Sri Lanka has urged the residents of the low-lying areas of the Aban River to remain vigilant as the water capacity of the Aban River continued to rise. Moreover, 600 acres of paddy fields belonging to the Kantale Divisional Secretariat had been destroyed as 8 sluice gates of the Kantale Reservoir were opened. Further, the devotees of the Ruhunu Kataragama Devalaya were requested to remain on alert by the respective authorities as the Manik River continued to reach its maximum capacity. The Sella Kataragama sacred site had also been submerged due to inclement weather patterns. Following these developments, the Met Department forecasts that fairly heavy rains above 75 millimeters are expected at certain places in the northern province and in the Anuradhapura and Kandy districts. Showers or thunder showers are also expected to occur at times in the eastern and Yuva provinces and in the Polonnaruwa, Matale, Nuwara and Hambantota districts. In other related news, traffic along the Badulla Valimata main road was completely blocked due to a landslide which occurred last night. Further, 2 residences of the Uva Paranagam area were severely damaged after a mound of earth collapsed onto those residences.
However, no casualties were reported following the incident. Subsequently, the National Building Research Organisation issued Level 2 amber landslide warnings to 4 districts. Accordingly, the amber landslide warnings were issued to parts of the Badulla, Kandy, Monaragala and Nuwara districts.
Now, meanwhile, according to the National Water Supply and Drainage Board, water tariffs are expected to be increased in 2024. Accordingly, water tariffs will be increased by 3% with effect from January 2024. The increased tariffs are slated to come into effect in line with the imposition of the revised value-added tax on the 1st of January. The VAT Amendment Bill was passed in Parliament on the 11th of December and the relevant tax was thereby approved to be increased by 3% from 15% to 18%. Now, during today's Yuka Operation, 1,554 suspects were arrested over drug-related criminal activity within the past 24 hours, while 62 suspects were directed for rehabilitation. In the meantime, police media spokesperson, Senior Superintendent of the Police, Nihal Taldu, revealed that 217 suspects who sold narcotic substances and illegal items to school children have been apprehended. With that, let's take a look into more developments of today's iteration of the Yuka operations.
The Yuka special operation, executed to curb and control the island-wide distribution of narcotic substances, continued for a 13th day today. During an investigation carried out as part of the Yuka special operation in Battapotha Thalangama, 21 suspects were apprehended by the police. During the investigation, a woman named Hamina, who is reported to be the wife of a known criminal named Bunty, was apprehended with heroin in her possession. Further, another woman engaged in prostitution was arrested while having crystal methamphetamine in her possession. In the meantime, another operation was carried out based on information received on a consignment of narcotics being imported to Sri Lanka from Kerala in India. The Police Narcotics Bureau was able to apprehend 3 suspects during the raid. Meanwhile, a consignment of 2.5 tons of beedi leaves valued at 30 million rupees was seized during the same raid. In the meantime, a married couple was arrested with Kerala cannabis in their possession. The duo was placed under arrest with 120 packets of narcotics prepared for sale during a special operation carried out in the Kaduruvela Muslim colony. According to the police, 7 individuals who came to purchase cannabis were also apprehended during the raid. During a raid carried out in the Mahabagi police area, 14 suspects were arrested along with 3,500 milligrams of crystal methamphetamine. In other developments, a criminal gang member under the alias Khadja and his driver were arrested in the Vitharandeniya area in Tangol. The jeep the 2 suspects were travelling in and a set of handcuffs were taken into police custody. Meanwhile, 10 individuals suspected to be engaged in drug-related crimes were arrested during an operation conducted in Matale in conjunction with the Yuka special operation. 2,600 milligrams of crystal methamphetamine and 2,100 milligrams of heroin were seized by police during the operation. Accordingly, during the latest Yuka operation, 1,554 suspects were arrested over drug-related criminal activity within the past 24 hours, of which 82 suspects are being investigated on detention orders. Further, 62 suspects have been directed for rehabilitation. Arrestees during the course of today's Yuka operation include 128 criminals listed by the Police Narcotics Bureau.
පාසල් 3183ක් ආවරණ වන ආකාරයට ඒ අවට සිටින වෙළඳසල් හිමියන් සහ සේවකයන් 35000කට වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් මේ පරීක්ෂා කිරීමට ලක් වෙලා තියෙනවා. මේ අයගෙන් 217 දෙනෙක් අත්අඩංගුවට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. යම් යම් මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය සහ පාසල් දරුවන්ට නීති විරෝධී දේවල් අලෙවි කිරීමට කටයුතු කිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් පාසල් අවට මාවා වගේ දේවල් අලෙවි කිරීම තුළ පාසල් ළමුන් ඉලක්ක කර ගැනීමට තියෙන අවස්ථා වැඩි. ඒ නිසා තමයි පොලිසිය විදිහට අපි විශේෂ අවධානයක් මේ සම්බන්ධව යොමු කරේ.
Now, meanwhile, the newly appointed Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, emphasized that it is his mission to work for the benefit of Sri Lanka under the guidance of Sri Lankan leadership. Jha also pledged that the Indian expertise will be extended to Sri Lanka for its plans for digital infrastructure development. These statements were made by the Indian High Commissioner during a meeting with Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena.
The newly appointed High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, called on Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at the Temple Trees yesterday. The Prime Minister's office reported that a detailed discussion was held on economic ties and cooperation between the 2 countries. The duo also examined ways and means of expediting the proposed joint projects. Discussions had further focused on the possibility of more Indian investments in the energy sector, including solar, wind power, joint projects on the Trincomalee oil storage tanks, ports, railways and other sectors. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena thanked India for the assistance extended to Sri Lanka during its economic crisis, particularly through the provision of debt restructuring facilities and through the provision of relief material, food and medicine. The Sri Lankan Premier also thanked India for the support given to secure the IMF package to solve the country's liquidity issues. The new Indian High Commissioner, meanwhile, recalling his tenure in Sri Lanka from 2007 to 2010, said he considers it a great privilege to be in Colombo once again to work towards bolstering bilateral friendship and cooperation. He further stressed the need for early steps to implement the Indo-Sri Lanka Economic Partnership Vision and the 14-point program agreed to by the leaders of the two countries. High Commissioner Santosh went on to say that it is his mission to work with the people of Sri Lanka for the benefit of Sri Lanka under the guidance of Sri Lankan leadership. He also assured that Indian expertise will be extended to Sri Lanka for its plans for digital infrastructure development, including introducing digital IDs for every citizen and for the development of IT education.
Now, as the dawn of the new year draws closer, a number of entertainment programs have been planned to provide all Sri Lankans and tourists alike an unforgettable experience. In light of the celebrations and entertainment programs to be hosted in Colombo tomorrow, the police today announced a special traffic plan which will be in place in Colombo from 5 p.m. onwards tomorrow.
With New Year's Eve just around the corner, various entertainment programs, musical shows and recreational activities have been planned out for the 31st of December. The celebrations and programs in Colombo are expected to garner the participation of locals and foreign tourists alike. To address traffic-related concerns, as many are expected to flock to the commercial capital of the country tomorrow, the police announced today that a special traffic plan will be in place in Colombo from 5 p.m. onwards tomorrow. Accordingly, the special traffic plan will be centered in the Peta, Kompanya and the Kolpeti police domains. Subsequent to the announcement, several roads including the Janadipati Mawata, the Bank of Ceylon Mawata, the Lotus Road, the Navam Mawata, the Sri Uttarananda Mawata and Sir James Pieris Mawata in Colombo too, along with a section of the road from Kolpeti to Peta will be restricted to one-way traffic from tomorrow evening.
අධික ලෙස මේ ප්‍රදේශවලට රථවාහන ඇතුල්වීම වැළැක්වීම සඳහා රථගාල් කීපයක් සකස් කරලා තියෙනවා. එකක් තමයි ලේක් හවුස් ඉදිරිපිට රථගාල. ඒ වගේම ලේඩි බැස්ටියන් මාවත රථගාල තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඩියුක් වීදිය රථගාල තියෙනවා. ඊට අමතරව බ්‍රිස්ටල් වීදිය රථගාල තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම තමයි බාරොන් ජයතිලක මාවත රථගාල, ශාම්ස් රථගාල. ඒ වගේම මුදුබඩ මාර්ගයේ බම්බලපිටිය සිට කොල්ලපිටිය ස්ටෝට් පටුමඟ දක්වා ගමන් නතර කිරීමේ හැකියාව තියෙනවා. බම්බලපිටිය දෙස වාහන නැවතුවාම එතන ඉඳලා ගමනාගමනය අපහසු නිසා සංචාරක ප්‍රවර්ධන කාර්යාංශය විසින් සංවිධානය කළා තියෙනවා. බස් රථ කීපයක් ඒ ප්‍රදේශය යොදලා තියන්න. වාහන කිසිම ස්ථානයක නතර කරලා දාලා යන්නට එපා. අපිට එහෙම නො සිදු වෙනවා. ඒ වාහන යම් කිසි ආකාරයකට ඇදගෙන යාම සිදු කරන්න. එම ඇදගෙන ගියොත් ඔබට ඒ ඇදගෙන යාමේ වියදම් පවා ගෙවන්නට සිදු වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඔබට රේව නීතිය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා. මත්පැන් පානය කළා රිය ධාවනය කරන්න නම් ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ. විශේෂයෙන්ම ඔබට යම් කිසි තොරතුරක් තියෙනවා නම් 118 දුරකථනයට 119 දුරකථනයට ලබා දීමේ හැකියාව තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau, Chalaka Gajabahu, says 80% of the hotels in Colombo have been filled with foreign tourists.
31 රැට මියුසිකල් ෂෝ එකක් ලෑස්ති කරන ආටිස්ලා 30 දෙනෙක් සමග බම්බලීටින් පටන් ගත්තාම කොටුවට යනකම් අපේ තරු 3 4 5 හෝටල් ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. මේ හෝටල් වල 31st night buffets, dinner reservations, ඒ වගේම dinner dancers ඔක්කොම sold out වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ යන තැන් වලට කලින් එන්න පුළුවන් තරම් ටැක්සිස් පාවිච්චි කරන්න.
සමහරවිට කොහොමද විදේශ සංචාරකයන් මේ දවස්වල කොළඹ හෝටල් වලට පැමිණ තිබෙනවා?
අපි ගිය අවුරුද්දේ හිටියට වෙන තැනක ඉන්නේ. අපි පෙරේද වෙනකොට අපේ නම්බර එක ඇවිල්ලා මිලියන 1.4 6යි. ඒ කියන්නේ අපේ ටාගට් එක මේ අවුරුද්දේදී මිලියන 1.5යි. කොළඹ හෝටල් 70%ක් 80ක් පිළලා තියෙන්නේ. කොළඹ ඇරෙන්න කොළඹින් පිට හෝටල් ගත්තොත් almost 100%ක් පිළලා තියෙනවා. ජනවාරි, පෙබරවාරි, මාර්තු අන්තිම වෙනකම් මේ ප්‍රයිවට් සෙක්ටර් එකෙන් කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ කියනවා මේ මාර්තු විතර වෙනකම් 80%ක විතර ඩිමාන්ඩ් එකක් තියෙනවා ලංකාවේ සංචාරය සම්බන්ධයෙන්.
Now, meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa highlighted that the 113 MPs who voted to cover irregularities which occurred in the health sector must also be named as respondents, similar to former Health Minister Keheliya Ramukwala. In the meantime, parliamentarian Patli Champika Ranawika emphasized that his party will form an alliance with certain politicians regardless of their party affiliations. Now, let's take a look at some of the views exchanged in the political arena today.
සෞඛ්‍ය ශේෂ්ත්‍රයේ සිදුවුණු අක්‍රමිකතා රසක් රැකගන්නට 113ක් අතිස්සු. හරිනම් ඒ 113ක් කෙහෙලිය වගේම වග උත්තරකරුවා. ඛේද වාචකය බංකොලොත් රටෙත් හොරකම් කරනවා. ඇයි ඍජු විදේශ ආයෝජන එන්නේ නැත්තේ? ප්‍රධානතම හේතුව හොරකම නිසා. සමහරු ගෙම්බෝ වගේ පැත්තෙන් පැත්තට පනිනවා. තමන්ගේ සාක්කු පුරව ගන්නට ඒ ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන දේශපාලනයට නැවතීමේ ලකුණු තබන්නට අපි අනිවාර්යෙන්ම කටයුතු කරනවා කියලා මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
පැහැදිලිවම සමගි ජන බලවේගය ඉදිරි ජනාධිපතිවරණයට අපේ අපේක්ෂක හැටියට අපේ නායක සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමාගේ නම අපේ කෘත්‍යාධිකාරි මණ්ඩලය යෝජනා කරලා ඉස්තිර කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව අපි දැන් සමගි ජන බලවේගයේ මේ රටේ ප්‍රධාන විපක්ෂයක් හැටියට එන ඕනම මැතිවරණයක් ජනාධිපතිවරණ විතරක් නෙවෙයි. ඊට ඉස්සෙල්ලා වෙන මැතිවරණයක් ආවත් ඒ ඕන එකක් ජයග්‍රහණය කරන්න ඉතාම ශක්තිමත් සංවිධානයක් ගොඩනගමින් පවතිනවා.
මේ රටේ තාත්තල විකුණලා බලයට එීම, බාප්පල විකුණලා බලයට එීම, අම්මල විකුණලා බලයට එීම වෙනුවට පෞල් වාදයට, පෞල් කාමයට, ගෝත්‍රවාදයට එරෙහිව මේ රටේ කුසලතාපූර්ණ පරපුර බල ගැනීම තමයි අපගේ පක්ෂයේ සංවිධානයේ වෙන්නේ. ඒ බොහොම පැහැදිලිව කියන්න ඕනේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොත්ජන පෙරමුණේ රාජපක්ෂවරු නොවන තාම වැදගත් පිරිසක් ඉන්නවා. ඒ පිරිසත් එක්ක අපි අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ගනුදෙනු කරනවා. එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේත් ඉන්න හොඳ පිරිස, සමගි ජන බලවේගෙත් ඉන්නවා, අනිත් දේශපාලන පක්ෂවලත් ඉන්නවා. මේ 225ම හොරු කියන මේ මතය එක්ක අපි නෑ. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම අපි දේශපාලන සන්ධානයක් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවත් ඉන් පිටතත් ගොඩනගනවා.
මම 2024 ප්‍රෙසිඩෙන්ෂල් කැන්ඩිඩේට් හැටියට එන්න වැඩ කරමින් ඉන්නේ. පොදුජන පෙරමුණ කියන්නේ ලංකාවේ අති විශාල පක්ෂයක්. ඒතකොට ඒ පක්ෂෙන් එන්න මට දාලා තියෙනවා කොන්දේසි 10ක්. පැය 9600යි වැඩ කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියන ප්ලෑන් ටික තමයි කරන්නේ. එහෙන් තමයි අනවුන්ස් කරන්න ඕනේ කොහොමද කැන්ඩිඩේට් කියලා.
Now, meanwhile, a 6.6 magnitude earthquake occurred in the Indian Ocean off North Sumatra at 10:49 a.m. this morning with a depth of 10 kilometers. Following the earthquake, a warning was issued by the National Tsunami Early Warning Center, urging those living near and around the coastal areas to remain vigilant. However, later the National Tsunami Early Warning Center said there is no tsunami threat to Sri Lanka. This earthquake occurred a day after 4 earthquakes occurred along the Carlsberg Ridge in the Indian Ocean near Maldives. According to the US Geological Survey, the quakes had magnitudes of 5.8, 5.2, 5.8 and 5 with varying depths ranging from 7.7 kilometers to 10 kilometers. However, the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau of Sri Lanka assured that there was no tsunami threat to Sri Lanka. Now, Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe says steps are being taken to reduce the sovereign exposure of the country's banking sector and added that it cannot be done overnight. Addressing the financial system stability review for the year 2023, the Central Bank Governor said that they aim to employ a twofold strategy which include restructuring sudden obligations and reducing exposure. Further, at the Financial Stability System Review media briefing yesterday, it was revealed that the sovereign exposure of the banking sector is at a startling 43.4% of all banking assets.
When do you think the banking sector can be significantly free from exposure to the sovereign?
When you look at the exposure to sovereign by the banking sector, it's a legacy issue. If you look at historically, not only the government, the debt raised through the banking sector, through treasury bills and bonds, and also state-owned enterprises, those debt were guaranteed by the government, and that is why you saw this large the sovereign exposure. This is one of the reasons we had this unsustainable sovereign debt. This is a process. That's why first part is to restructure sovereign obligations, and second part is to gradually reduce the exposure of the sovereign to the overall banking system. That's where the plus debt restructuring, imposing certain limits on sovereign exposures, revision to the Banking Act, Bank Sector Provision Act. There are several measures have been taken, and this is a continuous process. I think it's difficult to all the sudden reduce the exposure. The sovereign is also important that they also need to raise financing, and they also need to raise financing on the non-bank sector as well as banking sector. Banks also need to invest in certain sovereign instruments for the liquidity purposes. So it will take some time. So gradually we think that with the reforms, and also it's important for the growth of the economy, so there will be a lot more resources from the banking sector would be available for the private sector growth more than financing the sovereign requirement.
What is your overall assessment about the banking sector recapitalization process?
Minister of Finance allocated 450 billion for 2024 under the budget if needed. Assessment is being done. As we already published as asset quality review, first large 5 banks have been completed, and we have discussed with all the banks, and we have asked them, and also these are several. One is the asset quality review assessment, second one is the impact on the domestic restructuring, certain foreign currency obligations, second one is the forward-looking basis. On the basis of those analysis, we have requested government to make provisions if needed. So that's why 150 billion rupees has been allocated if needed. So I think that's going forward plan would be, and then bank by bank, I think Bank Supervision Department has asked each bank to come up with a plan based on their own assessment in addition to our own assessment, and then come up with a plan. If there's a need for the government to support, especially for 2 state banks, then there's a fund allocated for that purpose. I think that That's why we are confident that we can maintain the stability because government has extended their support and allocated taxpayers' money for the future if needed to support the banking system. That's how that's going to be done. I think there's a process. First, bank by bank, you have to do the assessment and then complete the tax occurring and then make an assessment on what's the day one loss, what's the future potential losses, how much can be raised by the market, how much can be raised through other means, and then if there's a gap, then government has the last resort. Government can support. So that's the process actually.
Are you promoting consolidation?
So that's a process. I think after this strengthening the banking sector, I think this should be the next process. Anyway, we always encourage consolidation by themselves. There's no question. But I think other banks most probably just want to strengthen the capital base and strengthen the system. Then obviously going forward, we new long-term program would be to consolidate.
Now, as the country's tourism industry currently progresses through a rapid recovery, Sri Lanka welcomed more than 200,000 tourists in the month of December alone. Taking to the social media platform now called X, Minister of Tourism Harin Fernando stated that this denotes the highest number of monthly tourist arrivals recorded during the past 4 years. The tourism minister further stated that this monthly figure aids the authorities to almost reach the original target set by the government, which was 1.5 million tourist arrivals by the end of 2023. As per the data of the weekly summary report published by the Tourism Development Authority, 1,466,556 tourists have visited the island since the beginning of this year up until the 28th of December 2023. However, in contrast, the total number of tourist arrivals recorded in December last year stood at 91,961, while the total tourist arrivals throughout the entirety of last year stood at just 719,978. Now, in your latest corporate developments, Kapruka Holdings PLC recently announced the infusion of 133.6 million rupees to its fully owned subsidiary Kapruka E-Commerce Private Limited. In the meantime, 360 Aesthetics announced the inauguration of its aesthetic center located at the newly unveiled Havelock City Mall. With that, let's take a look at our corporate news segment for the evening.
Releasing a disclosure under the provision of Section 8 of the listing rules of the Colombo Stock Exchange, Kapruka Holdings PLC infused equity to its subsidiary Kapruka E-Commerce Private Limited for a consideration of 133.6 million rupees on the 27th of December this year to purchase 1,999,177 ordinary voting shares at 67 rupees per share. Further, the proceeds of this investment will be utilized by Kapruka E-Commerce Private Limited to execute the IPO objectives of Kapruka Holdings PLC. Meanwhile, marking a significant milestone, 360 Aesthetics announced the inauguration of its aesthetic center located at the newly unveiled Havelock City Mall. This establishment introduces a holistic 360-degree approach to aesthetic, beauty and wellness experiences, while the Dr. Lady Aesthetic Center stands fully equipped, poised to deliver a suite encompassing aesthetics, beauty and wellness services, along with the showcasing of the latest techniques. Additionally, 360 Aesthetics ensures a spacious and indulgent experience with 7 treatment rooms, separate consultation spaces and an area for nail treatments. Further, AIA Insurance recently expanded its distribution via the opening of a new regional development office in the heart of the Kadawatha city. The new RDO aims to provide exceptional customer service, innovative insurance solutions and contribute towards the economic development of the area, while the opening further assures a wide range of retirement, health, protection and life insurance needs. Further, the newly established AIA branch ensures accessibility for residents in Kadawatha and the surrounding areas, providing a convenient hub for tailored financial solutions.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of AdaDerana First at 9. Stay in touch with us on www.adaderana.lk for the latest developments around the clock. Thank you. Have a great night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.